They gave the fractured alien woman to a human man, but he did hesitate because he already under. In his 23 years of service to the interstellar exploration fleet, he had faced storms that could tear a ship apart, pirates who had no mercy, and alien worlds that could kill a human in a single misstep. But nothing in his career had prepared him for this. Today, he was not simply receiving a new mission. He was being assigned a companion, a being the Council had labeled fractured and dangerous. The reports he had read before stepping into the Council chamber were vague. Lyra, the alien woman, was part of a species called the Ilari. They were rare, delicate, and highly intelligent, but the Council's words suggested she was somehow incomplete. Her mind is not fully stable, the report had said. She is unpredictable. Handle her with extreme caution. Elias didn't flinch. He had always found the Council to be too cautious, too afraid of what they didn't understand. His years among the stars had taught him a simple truth. Fear was not a guide. Understanding was. When he arrived at the docking bay of the research station orbiting Rithos Prime, he found her waiting. She stood near the edge of the observation deck, tall and slender, her skin shimmering in a way that seemed to shift with every angle of light. Her eyes were large, luminous, and strangely hypnotic, reflecting the faint glow of distant stars. There was a stillness about her that made the world seem quieter, as though the universe itself held its breath in her presence. Lyra's gaze met his for a brief moment. It was sharp, evaluating, and a little wary. Then she looked away, toward the endless void beyond the station. Elias could sense the subtle tension in her posture, the way her fingers twitched slightly as if restraining herself. "Lyra," he said softly, stepping closer. "I'm Captain Elias Varn. We're going to work together from now on." She didn't respond. That didn't surprise him. Many beings, human and otherwise, needed time to adjust to new situations, and she clearly belonged to that category. Elias studied her carefully, noticing the small details that others might overlook. The way she shifted her weight slightly, the faint tremor in her hands, the subtle changes in her breathing. He could feel that she was cautious, not aggressive. She was scared, not dangerous. "I've read your file," he continued, keeping his voice calm and even. "I know what the Council thinks about you, but I don't share their fear. I believe every being has value, and I intend to prove it." Lyra's head turned slightly, just enough for him to see a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. It wasn't much, but it was something. In the silence that followed, Elias decided not to push. Patience would be his greatest tool. Over the next several hours, he familiarized her with the station. It was not a luxurious place. Rithos Prime's orbital platform was functional, efficient, and designed for scientists, not comfort. Still, Elias moved with purpose, explaining the layout, showing her the communication hubs, the labs, the living quarters, and the simulation chambers. Lyra followed him silently, observing everything with an intensity that made him feel as if she were reading his thoughts rather than his words. Elias didn't mind. In fact, he found it comforting. He liked beings who paid attention, who noticed the small things. They tended to survive longer in the stars. By evening, the Council liaison had left, leaving Elias and Lyra alone. The artificial lights of the station cast long shadows across the metal floors, and the view of the swirling gas giant below was breathtaking. Elias paused, hoping the beauty might help ease some of her tension. "Most people don't get to see this view," he said quietly. "You should take a moment, it's humbling." Lyra didn't respond immediately. She stepped closer to the edge and gazed out at the planet below, her luminous eyes reflecting the swirling clouds. Elias watched her silently, giving her space. After several minutes, she finally spoke, her voice soft but clear. "Why do you not fear me?" Elias smiled faintly. "Fear is for those who do not understand. I've met plenty of beings who seemed dangerous at first. Most of them were just misunderstood. You are no different." She looked at him then, and for the first time, there was something like recognition in her gaze. Not warmth, not friendship, but acknowledgement. She nodded slightly and returned her attention to the planet. Over the next few days, Elias worked carefully to establish trust. He didn't try to force communication or probe her mind. Instead, he focused on shared tasks, simple routines that allowed Lyra to see him as reliable and calm. Together, they repaired small machinery in the station, calibrated environmental controls, and ran simulations in the training rooms. Elias spoke when necessary, always with patience and clarity. Lyra began to respond in subtle ways. A nod here, a tilt of her head there, even a brief glance in his direction when she believed he was not watching. Each small gesture was progress. Elias celebrated these minor victories silently, knowing that trust could not be rushed. One evening, a minor emergency jolted the station from its quiet routine. A small shuttle returning from a survey mission had lost power and was drifting toward the gas giant below. The warning alarms echoed through the metal corridors and the lights flickered. Elias reacted immediately. "Lyra, come with me," he ordered. "We have to stabilize the situation." She moved without hesitation, following him to the control deck. He could see the tension in her every movement, but she did not freeze. Together, they monitored the shuttle's trajectory, calculated adjustments, and coordinated with the engineering team on the ground. Through calm commands and quick thinking, they managed to bring the shuttle into a stable orbit. When the alarms finally ceased, Elias exhaled deeply. Lyra's gaze met his once more, and for the first time there was something more than acknowledgement. There was a faint trace of admiration. "Not many humans could have handled that so quickly," she said quietly. Elias chuckled. "I'm not most humans." For the first time, she allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible smile. It was fleeting, but it was a breakthrough. Elias knew that trust had begun to take root, fragile though it might be. In the days that followed, they continued to work together, learning each other's rhythms and ways of thinking. Elias discovered that Lyra's mind was like a finely tuned instrument, capable of incredible insight, but fragile when pushed too hard. He adapted his approach, offering challenges in small, manageable steps, allowing her to succeed and regain confidence with each task. Lyra, in turn, began to reveal her unique abilities. She could sense fluctuations in energy fields, predict minor system failures before they occurred, and communicate subtle warnings through mental impressions. Elias found it remarkable, but he never treated her abilities as tools alone. He treated her as a partner, a being deserving of respect. Their bond grew slowly, a quiet understanding forming in the spaces between words. The council had called her fractured. Elias called her extraordinary. He saw what others refused to see: potential, intelligence, and courage hidden behind uncertainty. One night, as they watched the stars from the observation deck, Lyra spoke again. "Why do you believe in me?" Elias turned to her, his expression calm. "Because I've seen what humans can do. We survive when others would fall. We adapt when others would break. And most importantly, we care about others, even when it's difficult. I see those same qualities in you." Lyra remained silent for a long moment, the soft hum of the station filling the quiet spaces. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. Elias felt a sense of quiet triumph. This was the first true connection they had made. For the first time since her assignment to him, Lyra allowed herself to believe that perhaps the Council's fears were unfounded. Perhaps, with the right guidance and understanding, she could navigate a galaxy that had always seemed so vast, so dangerous, and so lonely. Elias, too, felt a quiet satisfaction. He had faced countless dangers among the stars, but nothing had been as delicate, as fragile, and as important as earning the trust of this fractured alien woman. And he knew, deep in his heart, that their partnership would change not just their lives, but perhaps the course of events in ways neither of them could yet imagine. As the lights of Rithos Prime glimmered below, Elias made a silent promise. He would protect her. He would guide her, and most importantly, he would help her see the strength she had always possessed, even when others failed to recognize it. In the cold vastness of space, among beings who doubted and feared, a human man and a fractured alien woman had begun a bond that would soon defy expectations, challenge assumptions, and prove that understanding could be a far more powerful force than fear. And Elias knew, without doubt, that he had made the right choice. Days passed aboard the station, and Elias and Lyra settled into a careful rhythm. The station was quiet most of the time, except for the occasional hum of machinery and the distant chatter of scientists. Elias noticed that Lyra was observing everything closely, her eyes scanning the control panels, the walls, the lights. She seemed to be learning not just about the station, but about him too. Elias did not mind. He welcomed her attention. He understood that Lyra's mind worked differently from humans. She processed information in layers, noticing patterns and details that most humans would overlook. He knew that rushing her would only frighten her or make her retreat further into herself. Patience was their most important tool. One morning, as the artificial sun of the station rose in its programmed cycle, Elias was adjusting some navigation instruments when Lyra appeared quietly at his side. She held a small device in her hands, a piece of alien technology that hummed softly. "I have noticed irregularities in the station's energy readings," she said. Her voice was calm, precise, but there was a hint of pride in her tone, as if she wanted him to recognize her observation. Elias looked at the device, impressed. "Good work," he said. "That could have gone unnoticed for days." He paused, studying her face. "Do you want to fix it?" Lyra's eyes flickered. For a moment she seemed unsure. Then she nodded, a small, careful movement. "Yes, I want to." Together they approached the energy core. Elias guided her hands gently, showing her the circuits and explaining the adjustments they needed to make. She followed his instructions with precision, her long fingers moving with skill and grace. Despite her initial hesitation, she completed the task without error and the station's energy levels stabilized. Elias smiled. "You did very well, see. You can do this." Lyra's eyes met his, and for the first time her expression was not guarded. There was a glimmer of confidence there, small but real. Elias felt a quiet satisfaction. This was progress, and he knew that progress in trust was more important than any technical success. The days that followed brought new challenges. A minor meteor storm approached Rithos Prime, and the station's shields needed reinforcement. Elias and Lyra worked side by side, coordinating with the engineering team and monitoring the structural integrity of the station. She adapted quickly to the human way of problem-solving, suggesting solutions that surprised even Elias. "You think too linearly," she said once, her brow furrowed. "Humans consider one option at a time. You overlook patterns that are obvious to me." Elias laughed. "And you think too broadly. You assume too much can be controlled. That's why we make a good team. I cover what you miss, you cover what I miss." Lyra tilted her head as if pondering his words. "Perhaps we are compatible," she said carefully. Elias didn't respond immediately. Compatibility was not a word he often used lightly, but in that moment, he realized she was beginning to trust him enough to speak honestly. That was far more valuable than any report or technical accomplishment. The meteor storm hit sooner than expected. The station shuddered under the barrage of small rocks and debris. Alarms blared, and the lights flickered, throwing shadows across the walls. Elias took the lead, directing the engineering team and issuing commands to reinforce the shields. Lyra moved beside him, her mind scanning for weak points in the station's structure. She pointed out several areas where the shields were thin, suggesting adjustments that would prevent damage. Elias followed her advice, making rapid calculations and giving clear instructions. Together, they managed to stabilize the station before any serious harm occurred. After the storm passed, Elias noticed Lyra standing at the observation deck, staring out at the battered but intact station. She seemed smaller somehow, as if the storm had reminded her of her fragility. Elias approached quietly. "You handled yourself well," he said softly. "You didn't panic, you didn't retreat. That shows strength." Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions he could not name. "I did not know I could," she admitted. "That's the thing about strength," Elias replied. "Sometimes you don't know you have it until the moment comes. Then you realize it was there all along." She remained silent for a long moment, as if considering his words. Then she nodded slowly. "I see." As the days passed, Elias introduced Lyra to the humans aboard the station. Most were cautious, still wary of her alien presence and her fractured nature. But Elia's calm confidence and respect for her set the tone. Slowly, the crew began to accept her, and she, in turn, began to trust them. One afternoon, while repairing a sensor array on the outer rim of the station, a sudden power surge caused the equipment to spark. Lyra froze for a moment, her body tense with fear. Elias reached for her hand, steadying her without a word. "Breathe," he said. "We can handle this." With his calm guidance, she regained control and completed the repairs. Afterwards, she looked at him with something approaching gratitude. "You do not abandon me," she said. "I don't abandon anyone who needs help," Elias replied. "Especially not you." It was in these small moments that trust grew. Lyra's mental fractures, the inner turmoil that had earned her the label of dangerous, began to heal in the presence of patience, respect, and understanding. Elias realized that she had been punished by fear and misunderstanding all her life. But here, with him, she was safe enough to be herself. One evening, a communication arrived from the council. They had detected an anomaly near the station, an uncharted vessel drifting silently through space. They ordered Elias and Lyra to investigate immediately. While the council assumed Lyra's presence might complicate matters, Elias saw it as an opportunity. As they approached the vessel in a small shuttle, Elias observed Lyra closely. Her posture was tense, but her focus was sharp. She scanned the vessel, reading energy signatures and structural patterns with her unique abilities. "It is empty," she said finally. "No crew on board, but the energy readings are unstable. It could explode." Elias nodded. "Then we secure it before it becomes a threat." "Let's move carefully." Working together, they managed to stabilize the vessel. Lyra's insights allowed them to prevent a catastrophic chain reaction that could have destroyed the nearby section of space. Once the danger passed, Elias turned to her. "You see," he said, "your abilities, combined with patience and focus, can prevent disaster. You're not a liability, you're a protector." Lyra looked at him, her luminous eyes filled with a new understanding. "I am beginning to understand," she whispered. The council's reports had called her unpredictable, fractured, and dangerous. Elias knew the truth. She was extraordinary, and in the right environment with trust and understanding, she could achieve far more than anyone had imagined. As they returned to the station, Elias and Lyra shared a quiet moment in the observation deck. The gas giant below spun lazily, a swirl of colors and storms. Stars glittered beyond, distant and eternal. "You trust me," Lyra said finally, "even before I proved anything." Elias looked at her, his expression calm. "I don't trust blindly," he said. "I see the potential. I see who you really are, and I know that potential is worth believing in." For the first time since she had arrived, Lyra allowed herself to feel a sense of hope. Perhaps the council had been wrong about her. Perhaps she was not broken. Perhaps with the right guidance she could thrive. Elias smiled, sensing the change. "We're a team," he said, "and teams face challenges together. You won't face them alone." Over the next weeks, their partnership continued to strengthen. Elias taught her more about human strategies, human ways of thinking, and the subtle art of patience. Lyra taught him about her species, perception of energy, their ways of sensing the universe that humans could not comprehend. Together, they formed a bond that transcended words, a connection built on trust, respect, and shared experience. It was during one quiet night, as the station's lights dimmed for the artificial night cycle, that Elias realized just how far they had come. Lyra no longer flinched at sudden noises. She no longer avoided him. She was beginning to speak freely, share her thoughts, and even smile, small, fleeting, but genuine. He felt a quiet pride, not in himself but in the human qualities that had allowed this connection to form: patience, empathy, courage, and the willingness to see beyond fear. Humanity had been underestimated by the galaxy for centuries, but here was proof that humans could bridge divides, heal fractures, and inspire trust even in beings who had been abandoned by their own kind. Elias knew that the journey was just beginning. Greater challenges awaited them in the stars. Rogue factions, uncharted territories, and dangers the Council had yet to imagine would test their partnership. But for now, in the quiet hum of the station, Elias and Lyra had taken the first steps towards something extraordinary. They were no longer just human and alien. They were partners. They were allies. And they were beginning to understand that together they could achieve far more than either could alone. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable. But for the first time, Lyra felt that she was not alone in it. And Elias knew that as long as he remained patient, brave, and understanding, the fractured alien woman would learn that even in the cold void of space, she had found a place where she belonged. The calm of the station did not last long. Just as Elias had predicted, the galaxy held challenges that could not be avoided. Early one morning, while monitoring communications, a sharp alert flashed across the station's console. A rogue alien faction, known across the sector for their ruthless raids, had been detected approaching Rithos Prime. Their ships moved fast, and their intent was clear: attack and seize control of any strategic installations they encountered. Elias' heart did not race with fear. He had faced threats like this before. What concerned him more was Lyra. She had grown in confidence since arriving at the station, but she was still learning the ways of human thinking in dangerous situations. Elias needed her to remain calm, focused, and trust him completely. "Lyra," he said firmly, his voice steady over the comlink. "We have an incoming threat. I need you with me. Can I count on you?" She nodded, her luminous eyes meeting his. For the first time there was no hesitation, no doubt. "I am with you," she said, her voice steady though quiet. The station's crew scrambled to prepare defenses, following Elias' precise commands. Shields were reinforced, weapons systems brought online, and escape protocols reviewed. Despite the chaos, Elias maintained a calm presence, moving through the control deck with purpose. Lyra followed his every move, observing and assisting where her abilities could provide an edge. The rogue ships arrived sooner than expected, their dark hulls glinting against the starlit backdrop. They fired warning blasts, testing the station's shields. The explosions shook the deck, sending tremors through the metal floors. Some of the crew froze in fear, but Elias remained composed. He moved swiftly, giving orders, coordinating countermeasures, and guiding Lyra. "Lyra, scan the lead ship," he commanded. Her hands moved over the console, her fingers brushing controls instinctively. "They have weak points in the energy conduit on the starboard side," she reported. "I can guide the targeting systems." Elias nodded. "Do it, I trust you." The trust was more than words, it was action. Lyra channeled her unique perception of energy, synchronizing with the station's systems. Together, they guided precise counterattacks that disabled several of the rogue ships without destroying them completely. The rogue faction was taken by surprise, unprepared for the strategic efficiency of a human-alien partnership. The battle raged for hours, and Lyra began to show remarkable adaptability. She analyzed patterns in enemy maneuvers, anticipated attacks, and suggested countermeasures that no human alone could have devised. Yet, it was Elias' leadership, quick decisions, and calm presence that allowed her abilities to be fully effective. During a particularly tense moment, one of the rogue ships fired a concentrated energy beam toward the station's core. The alarm blared, warning of imminent breach. Lyra's mind raced, detecting fluctuations in the energy field. "We can redirect it, but it will require precise timing," she exclaimed. Elias didn't hesitate. "Do it. I'll coordinate the team. Trust me, Lyra." The two worked in perfect synchronization. Lyra guided the energy redirection while Elias issued commands to the crew, ensuring that each step was executed flawlessly. The station shuddered, sparks flew, but the core remained intact. When the immediate danger passed, Elias allowed himself a brief exhale of relief. Lyra looked at him, her expression a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. "You saved us," she said quietly. "No," Elias replied gently. "We saved each other. You were just as important as anyone else here." For the first time, Lyra allowed herself to feel a sense of pride. She was beginning to understand the human quality that Elias had often spoken of, courage combined with compassion. Humans acted not only with logic but with a moral understanding of others, a willingness to protect even when it was risky. The rogue faction, seeing their attacks thwarted, retreated into the darkness of space. The station was damaged but intact. Crew members moved to repair systems, their respect for both Elias and Lyra growing by the minute. The Council's fears about Lyra being a liability were proving unfounded. After the battle, Elias and Lyra walked to the observation deck. The stars were calm again, as if nothing had happened, but both of them felt the lingering tension of what they had survived. "You were incredible," Elias said. "I don't know if the Council would believe what we accomplished, but it doesn't matter. You showed courage, intelligence, and focus." Lyra studied him, her eyes softening slightly. "I felt fear," she admitted, "but you guided me. You did not falter, you did not abandon me." Elias smiled faintly. "That is what humans do. We survive by helping each other. You learned that quickly." She nodded, her mind processing the truth in his words. In the past, her fractures had made her hesitant, fearful of relying on anyone. But Elias' presence had shown her that trust and teamwork could overcome even the deepest uncertainties. Over the next few days, Elias and Lyra worked to repair the station fully, integrating lessons from the battle into new defensive protocols. They trained together, ran simulations, and coordinated strategies. Each success built Lyra's confidence further, and she began to speak more freely, offering insights and suggestions that were valued by the crew. One afternoon, while calibrating the station's long-range sensors, Lyra paused, her fingers hovering over the controls. "There is a pattern in the starfield beyond the station," she said. "It is subtle, but there is movement. Something approaches different from the rogue faction." Elias leaned closer, studying her readings. "What do you mean?" "I cannot explain fully," she admitted. "It is intelligent, deliberate, not hostile yet, but observant, watching." Elias nodded. "Then we prepare, stay ready. Whatever it is, we'll face it together." This was a new challenge, one that neither human nor alien could predict. Elias saw it as an opportunity. He was confident that with Lyra by his side, they could handle anything. Her unique perception, combined with his human ingenuity and leadership, made them a formidable pair. That night, as the station rested in quiet anticipation, Elias sat with Lyra in the observation deck. The swirling gas giant below cast muted light and the stars stretched endlessly beyond. "You have changed," Elias said softly. "When you first arrived, you were uncertain, cautious, even afraid. Now you are beginning to understand your strength." Lyra looked at him, a faint smile on her lips. "Strength is not only power, is it?" she asked. "No," Elias replied. "It is courage, it is intelligence. It is knowing when to act and when to wait. And it is compassion. All of these together make someone strong." "You have them all." Her luminous eyes reflected the stars, and for the first time Elias saw not a fractured being, but someone whole, capable, and extraordinary. Over the next few weeks, the pattern Lyra had detected grew clearer. An alien craft appeared at the edge of the station's sensors, silent, massive, and impossible to ignore. Unlike the rogue faction, this vessel made no aggressive moves. It seemed curious, scanning the station, its intentions unreadable. The council demanded a report, but Elias resisted overconfidence. "We do not know its purpose yet," he explained. "We must observe, understand, and be ready. Lyra, can you help me analyze it?" She nodded immediately, her focus sharp. Together, they began to study the craft, noting its energy signatures, movement patterns, and possible technology. Lyra's alien perspective allowed them to detect subtle nuances that human instruments alone could not capture. Days passed, and slowly the craft revealed its nature. It was not hostile. It was intelligent, yes, but it seemed to be evaluating humanity and the station itself. Elias realized that this was not a threat but an opportunity, an encounter that could demonstrate humanity's resilience, intelligence, and compassion to beings far more advanced than the Council could imagine. Lyra turned to him, her expression solemn. "You trust me with this, even though we do not fully understand it," she said. Elias nodded. "I trust you because I have seen what you can do, and I know that together we can handle this. Fear is a poor guide. Understanding is stronger." The alien craft lingered at the edge of the station's orbit for weeks, and during that time, Elias and Lyra refined their cooperation. They coordinated defensive systems, ran simulations of possible encounters, and trained the crew in strategies that combined human logic with Lyra's unique perception. Through this, the station became stronger, the crew more confident, and Lyra more certain of herself. The fractured alien woman was no longer defined by her past or by the Council's fear. She was defined by what she could achieve when given trust, guidance, and respect. Elias knew that the true test was yet to come. The alien craft would not wait forever. The galaxy would always challenge humans, always test their limits, and always judge their worth. But with Lyra by his side, he felt ready. They had survived storms, rogue factions, and internal fears. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and compassion could overcome fear, misunderstanding, and danger. And as he watched her study the craft, analyzing patterns and possibilities with a focus that no human alone could match, Elias realized that the universe was about to witness something extraordinary. Humanity, not as weak or naive, but as adaptable, courageous, and capable of forming bonds that even the most advanced civilizations could not ignore. Weeks had passed since the alien craft had appeared on the station's sensors, and its presence had become a constant, silent reminder of the unknown. Every morning, Elias would check the readings, and every morning Lyra was there beside him, analyzing, observing, translating patterns that human minds could barely grasp. Their cooperation had become seamless, an unspoken rhythm that reflected not just trust but a growing bond. Despite the calm routine, tension simmered beneath the surface. The alien vessel moved deliberately, sometimes withdrawing into the void, sometimes hovering just within range. It seemed curious, intelligent, but utterly unreadable. The Council demanded updates, insisting on immediate action or confrontation. Elias resisted. He had learned that fear and aggression were not always the right answers. Sometimes patience, observation, and understanding could achieve far more than a direct attack. Lyra had grown stronger in her abilities. Her mind could detect subtle shifts in energy, predict changes in technology, and even sense the emotional states of those around her to a small degree. Elias relied on her insights more than ever, but he never treated her as a tool. He treated her as a partner, as someone whose contributions were equally valuable, perhaps even more valuable in some situations. "You are improving every day," he said one evening, as they analyzed a series of energy pulses from the alien craft. "I knew you could adapt, but this is extraordinary." Lyra's eyes, shimmering softly in the light of the observation deck, reflected a mixture of pride and doubt. "I do not know if extraordinary is the right word," she replied. "I am learning, you guide me." Elias shook his head with a small smile. "Extraordinary doesn't mean perfect. It means capable of doing what others cannot, and that's what you are." She looked at him for a long moment, as if weighing his words, then nodded. There was a subtle shift in her posture, a quiet confidence that had not been there before. Elias knew that trust and understanding were not built overnight, but these moments, small as they were, marked progress. The first real test came unexpectedly. The alien craft suddenly changed its trajectory, moving closer to the station. Its intentions remained unclear, but the energy reading spiked, suggesting some form of communication or test. Elias and Lyra prepared the station for any scenario. Weapon systems were brought online, shields reinforced, and every crew member was briefed and positioned. "Do you think it will attack?" one young engineer asked, her voice trembling slightly. Elias placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I don't know," he admitted. "But fear alone cannot guide us. We will observe, respond, and adapt. That's what humans do best, and we have Lyra with us. That makes us stronger than any threat." Lyra watched this exchange quietly, her luminous eyes reflecting a new understanding. She had seen humans in danger before, but she had never witnessed their ability to act calmly under pressure while protecting others. It was a quality she began to admire deeply. When the alien craft approached, it emitted a series of pulses that reverberated through the station's sensors. Lyra leaned forward, her hands moving across the console, interpreting the signals. "It is testing us," she said. "It is observing our responses, measuring how we adapt, how we think." Elias nodded. "Then we show it what humanity is capable of. Calm, intelligent, and united. Follow my lead." Together, they responded to the alien tests, countering energy surges, redirecting simulated attacks, and demonstrating the station's ability to adapt. Each success strengthened Lyra's confidence, showing her that humans could face uncertainty not with panic, but with clarity and teamwork. Days turned into nights, or at least the station's artificial cycles suggested so. During quiet moments, Elias and Lyra would retreat to the observation deck, sharing thoughts and insights. It was here, amidst the swirling colors of the gas giant below and the glittering stars beyond, that their bond deepened. "You trust me completely," Lyra said one evening, her voice soft, "even when we do not fully understand what we face." Elias looked at her, calm and resolute. "Trust is earned through action and understanding. You have proven yourself capable. That earns my trust every day." Lyra considered this, her mind reflecting on the events they had survived together. Rogue factions, energy surges, storms in space, all had been obstacles they had overcome. She realized that her fractures, the doubts and fears that had plagued her since her early days, were slowly healing. Not because she had power, but because she had understanding, guidance, and a partner who believed in her. The true challenge, however, came when the alien craft finally made its intentions clear. Without warning, it emitted a massive energy pulse directed at the station. Shields flared, alarms blared, and the metal floors shook beneath them. The crew rushed to their stations, but the magnitude of the pulse suggested that the alien was testing more than just defenses. It was evaluating the humans themselves, perhaps seeking to determine if they were worthy of further contact. Elias turned to Lyra. "We need to work together. This is our chance to prove ourselves." Lyra nodded, her confidence now tempered by focus. She tapped into her abilities, sensing energy flows and patterns within the alien pulse. "If we redirect and stabilize it simultaneously, we can absorb the energy without damage. Timing is crucial." Elias directed the crew with precision, coordinating with Lyra as they synchronized the station's systems. The pulse hit, and for a tense moment it seemed as if the station might fail. Sparks flew, warning lights flashed, and the floor shuddered under their feet. But Elias remained calm, guiding the crew, trusting Lyra's insight and adjusting strategies in real time. The energy dissipated safely, absorbed by the station systems and Lyra's precise guidance. Silence fell over the deck, broken only by the hum of functioning machinery. The crew stared in awe at what had just occurred. "You did it," one engineer whispered. "No," Elias said firmly, "we did it together." He turned to Lyra, a quiet smile on his face. "This is what I have been trying to show you. Strength comes from courage, intelligence, and teamwork. You have all of these qualities." Lyra's eyes reflected a mixture of relief and pride. "I understand," she said softly. "I see now. Strength is not about being whole alone. It is about working with others, trusting and learning." Elias nodded. "Exactly, and humanity is capable of that more than most species. That is why I believe in you, and why I believe in us together." In the following weeks, the alien craft continued to observe, but it no longer emitted threatening energy pulses. It seemed to recognize the humans' capability and, by extension, Lyra's mastery of her abilities. It remained at the edge of the station's orbit, a silent, watchful presence, as if acknowledging the partnership it had tested and found worthy. During this period, Elias and Lyra worked on strengthening the station's defenses, refining strategies, and preparing the crew for any eventuality. Lyra began to take initiative, proposing adjustments to shield configurations, predicting potential energy surges, and suggesting protocols that Elias implemented without hesitation. The crew, once cautious of her, now looked to her with respect and admiration. One quiet evening, as they watched the stars stretch infinitely into the darkness, Elias spoke. "You have grown beyond what I expected, not just in skill but in confidence, understanding, and trust. You are no longer fractured, Lyra. You are extraordinary." Lyra's eyes met his, reflecting the soft glow of distant stars. "I feel whole in a way I have never felt before," she admitted. "Not because I am perfect, but because I am understood, because I am trusted, because I am not alone." Elias placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "That is what humans can do, Lyra. We face fear, danger, and uncertainty, but we do not face it alone. We work together, we protect each other, and we grow stronger through trust." Her luminous eyes reflected a quiet determination. "Then I will continue to grow. For you, for humanity, for us." Elias nodded, understanding the depth of her words. He had seen the council's doubt, the fear and misunderstanding that had labeled her fractured. But he also knew that true strength was not measured by isolation or perfection. It was measured by courage, understanding, and the ability to rise above fear. In the vast emptiness of space, amidst the swirling colors of distant worlds and the silent stars, a human man and a once fractured alien woman had formed a bond that transcended species, fear, and doubt. They were partners in every sense of the word, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy would throw at them next. Elias knew that the coming days would bring new trials, perhaps even greater than any they had faced. But he also knew that with Lyra by his side, with trust, courage, and human ingenuity guiding them, they could overcome anything. The alien craft remained at the edge of the station's orbit, silent but watchful. It had tested humanity and found it worthy. And it had tested Lyra, revealing her strength in a way no one else could. Elias looked at her, calm and resolute. "We are ready," he said simply. Lyra nodded, her expression resolute and confident. "We face the future together." And together they did. The alien craft had lingered at the edge of the station's orbit for weeks, observing silently, testing without aggression, and allowing Elias and Lyra to prepare. But the sense of anticipation was palpable. Every crew member aboard the station felt it, a mixture of curiosity, apprehension, and quiet excitement. They were on the edge of something extraordinary, and no one could yet imagine the scale of what was about to unfold. Elia stood at the observation deck, looking out at the massive vessel. It was sleek, black, and alien, its surface shifting slightly as if alive. The energy readings were unlike anything human technology had ever detected. "Lyra," he said, "this is it. Whatever they intend, we have to be ready." Lyra's eyes glowed softly, reflecting the craft's energy patterns. "I feel it too," she replied. "It is measuring us, understanding us, judging our abilities. We must act carefully but decisively." Elias nodded. "Then we act together as always. Trust me as I trust you." For the next several hours, they coordinated every system on the station. Shields were brought to maximum capacity, weapons were calibrated with precise targeting, and communication networks were synchronized. The crew followed Elias' commands with confidence, inspired by his calm presence and Lyra's unparalleled perception. The alien craft's energy pulsed suddenly, sending waves across the station's sensors. It was not an attack, but a test of reaction. Elias and Lyra moved in perfect synchronization. She analyzed the pulse, identifying weak points and suggesting ways to absorb and redirect it, while he coordinated the station's systems and guided the crew. The energy struck the station, a wave of power that could have shattered weaker systems. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and metal groaned under the stress. Yet through their cooperation, the energy was absorbed safely. The station hummed steadily once more, undamaged. The crew erupted in quiet cheers, but Elias held up a hand. "Not yet," he said calmly. "This was only a test. The real challenge is coming." Lyra's gaze remained fixed on the alien vessel. "It is ready," she said softly. "It knows we are capable. Now it will act." Suddenly, multiple smaller ships emerged from the edges of the craft, moving with precision toward the station. Their energy signatures were powerful but chaotic, unlike the main vessel. Elias recognized the danger immediately. These were probes designed to destabilize, confuse, and test defensive limits. "Lyra," he called, "we need a strategy. Can you predict their movements?" She focused intensely, her luminous eyes scanning the approaching ships. "They are testing patterns, not attacking randomly. They will adjust to our actions. If we force them into predictable responses, we can counter effectively." Elias nodded. "Then let's do it. Human ingenuity and your perception together." The next several hours were a blur of precise coordination. Elias issued commands with calm authority, directing energy shields, weapon placements, and sensor adjustments. Lyra analyzed each probe, predicting its trajectory and providing real-time guidance to neutralize threats. The crew moved with confidence, their fear replaced by trust in the partnership between the human and the alien. Despite the intensity, Elias remained calm. He had faced storms, rogue factions, and crises before, but this was different. Here they were not merely surviving. They were demonstrating humanity's capability, intelligence, and courage to an entity that could observe and judge them without emotion. Lyra's powers reached new heights. She detected subtle energy fluctuations within the probes, guiding the station's countermeasures with near-perfect accuracy. The probes were neutralized one by one, each one falling harmlessly into space, their energy absorbed by the station's systems. Finally, the main alien vessel pulsed again, a massive wave of energy directed toward the station's core. This was the ultimate test. Elias looked at Lyra. "We can do this. Trust me completely as I trust you." Lyra took a deep breath, focusing her mind. "Together," she said, her voice steady and resolute. They worked in perfect harmony. Elias coordinated the station's systems, directing energy flows and adjusting shield vectors, while Lyra guided the absorption of the alien energy with extraordinary precision. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the floor trembled under their feet. For a tense moment, it seemed as if the station might fail. Then the energy was absorbed safely. The alien vessel pulsed once more, then retreated slightly, as if acknowledging their success. Silence fell over the deck, The crew stared in awe, some unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Elias turned to Lyra, a calm smile on his face. "You did it, we did it." Lyra looked back at him, her eyes glowing softly. "We survived together." The alien craft, for the first time, opened a channel of communication. A soft, harmonic voice resonated through the station, not threatening but clear and deliberate. Elias and Lyra exchanged a glance, understanding that this was recognition, not aggression. "You have proven your strength," the voice said. "Not in power alone, but in intelligence, courage, and unity. We have observed. We acknowledge your capability." Elias allowed himself a small smile. "Humanity is stronger than you realize," he said calmly. "And we are stronger together." Lyra stepped forward. "I am part of humanity now, and together we achieve more than one alone." The alien craft emitted one final pulse, a wave of energy that was not dangerous but soothing, as if imparting understanding. Elias and Lyra felt it resonate within them, a quiet recognition of achievement. The craft then slowly moved away, leaving the station and its crew intact. In the aftermath, the crew celebrated their success, but Elias knew this moment was bigger than victory over a test. It was a demonstration of what humans could achieve when fear was set aside, when courage and intelligence were combined, and when trust guided actions. Lyra, once fractured and uncertain, now stood fully confident, her abilities honed, her mind sharp, and her trust in Elias unwavering. Over the following days, they repaired and strengthened the station, integrating lessons learned from the alien encounter. Lyra continued to train, sharing her perception skills with the crew and helping them refine their understanding of energy patterns and strategy. The crew respected her not only for her abilities, but for the courage she displayed alongside Elias. One evening, as they watched the stars stretch endlessly beyond the observation deck, Lyra spoke quietly. "I understand now. My fractures, they were never weakness. They were fear, misunderstanding. With guidance, trust, and partnership, they became strength." Elias smiled, placing a hand gently on hers. "You are extraordinary, Lyra. Not because you are perfect, but because you adapted, learned, and trusted. That is true strength. Humanity has that in every one of us, but you embody it in a way that shows the galaxy what we can achieve." She nodded, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of distant stars. "Then we continue, together, always." Elias looked at the station, the crew, and the vast universe beyond. He knew challenges would come again, rogue factions, uncharted territories, unknown threats. But he also knew this. Humanity could face them, not with fear, but with courage, intelligence, and unity. And with Lyra by his side, he felt ready for anything. The alien craft, now far away, had witnessed the strength of a human and a fractured alien woman united. It had measured not only their skill but their moral courage, the capacity to act wisely under pressure, and the ability to protect and uplift others even in the face of danger. Elias knew that this recognition, though silent, would echo across the galaxy. In the weeks that followed, the station became a hub of learning and cooperation. Humans and aliens alike observed the partnership between Elias and Lyra, seeing the results of trust, patience, and shared purpose. It was a living example of what humanity could achieve, proving to allies and skeptics alike that humans were capable of extraordinary things when fear was replaced by understanding. Lyra had transformed. The fractures that had defined her were no longer limitations. They were memories of a past that had shaped her, now tempered by guidance, trust, and courage. She moved with confidence, spoke with clarity, and acted with wisdom. Elias had not only trained her abilities but had nurtured her understanding of strength, compassion, and partnership. Together, they continued to face challenges, energy anomalies, rogue factions, and the complexities of interstellar diplomacy. Each trial strengthened their bond and proved, time and again, that humanity's greatest asset was not weapons, technology, or numbers, but courage, intelligence, and the ability to act with wisdom and compassion. One quiet night, as the station's artificial sun set across the observation deck, Elias turned to Lyra. "We have come far," he said softly, "and we will go farther. The galaxy is vast, but I am not afraid, not with you here." Lyra's eyes met his, luminous and steady. "Neither am I. We are stronger together, and humanity can achieve more than any other species could imagine." The stars stretched infinitely before them, endless possibilities waiting in the void, and for the first time, Lyra felt not fear but hope. She had been given a chance to rise above doubt and misunderstanding, to embrace her strengths and trust in another. With Elias by her side, she understood that even the cold emptiness of space could be filled with courage, compassion, and connection. Elias looked at the station, the crew, and the vast universe beyond. He knew the future would bring challenges, threats, and tests of all kinds, but he also knew that humanity was ready. Strong, adaptable, courageous, and capable of understanding even what seemed impossible. And he knew that Lyra, once fractured and uncertain, had become a symbol of that strength. Together, they had faced the unknown, survived the trials, and shown that fear could be overcome by understanding. The galaxy had witnessed humanity at its finest, courageous, intelligent, and unwavering in the face of the unknown. As the stars sparkled in the distance, Elias and Lyra stood side by side, ready for whatever came next. They had proven the Council wrong, surpassed the expectations of skeptics, and shown the universe what humanity was truly capable of. And in that quiet, infinite moment, the fractured alien woman, once afraid and uncertain, realized that she had found a place where she belonged, not just in space, but in the heart of a human who had never doubted her. Together, they were unstoppable.